Should UFC just cut ties with Jon Jones?
Listen, if I'm listening to Dana White there, Jon Jones just cut ties with the UFC. I mean, listen, this is his second steroid bust. He had the hit-and-run incident. That's 3 strikes and you're out, as far as I can tell. In this game of baseball, he's out.
Did Hollywood give up on Robert Downey after his issues? Did boxing always give up on Mike Tyson? This is the entertainment business. This is a whole different ballgame. These aren't elected officials. He's the best, most gifted fighter the sport's ever had.
You can watch him now and not think he's on drugs. You would have to think he's on steroids. He's cheating.
You know what, man? I watched baseball for a long time, and I never thought a lot of those guys were clean. Home run's a home run.
It's a fight, though. It's not fair to Daniel Cormier. It's not fair to the other fighters.
Okay. Which is why you have to change the testing policy.
Yes.
So you shouldn't be finished with Jon Jones. What they should be finished with is their testing policy. Because UFC and Dana White, they got all their money off of it. They wanted to pump this fight, the best pound for pound fighter in the history of the UFC. He's back. Let's make this money. Let's do it. Then you're going to test him afterwards when he's already failed the test? Come on, what league does that?
You always say you don't like giving up on young men.
I don't trust him. I don't think you can sell tickets to him anymore.
You test him before his fight.
I think they tested him before his fight.
No.
The results came in.
That's all you have to do.
Right. The test was after the weigh-in. The results come in after the fight. So technically, they tested him before the fight.
No, I'm talking about getting the results.
Get your results before the fight, and you know the guy is clean.
But isn't this a challenge of the UFC that is built around individuals?
Yes.
The individuals make the sport. Kind of like boxing. And I look at boxing. I'm a huge boxing fan. The stigma, the cloud around it, boxing was fixed. It was mafia type. But because you had so many kind of intriguing individuals, it kept people watching. No matter what happened, even with the Pacquiao fight of it maybe being stolen from him, it's still something there. With UFC, it's hard to cut your ties with a guy like that because look what's happened on the women's side with Ronda Rousey. She generated so much attention in regards to people tuning in that weren't avid UFC fighters just to watch her. She drove the bus. So it's a catch-22 for Dana White in regards to, okay, who's next? Who's really going to carry the torch within UFC to keep people eyes on the screen? It's an individual sport.
What if Tiger comes back and can golf? Should the PGA just cut ties with him?
Well, he hasn't been busted for steroids yet. He's been busted for nude pictures, nude women.
It's a gentleman's game. It's a gentleman's game. He's bad for the brand. Or does he sell out tournaments?
Well, yeah, first of all, Jon Jones, Tiger Woods, there's a huge gap here.
Well, but I would argue they're both.
I was about to say, golf, Tiger Woods, UFC, Jon Jones.
He is easily.
Conor McGregor is the guy.
Okay, Conor McGregor by Monday. Well, no, actually, by Saturday night at 10 could be a boxer. I mean, by the way, Rousey, Tate, Brock Lesnar's not fighting. I mean, by the way,
it's a microwave sport, and they got microwave athletes. I mean, again, I was laughing when they were calling Ronda Rousey the greatest female athlete of all time. I was like, what? Huh? Who? How? I mean, who she beat up? But we don't even know anything about the sport.
Couldn't we argue, though, that, baseball's 1,000,000 years old, golf. This is a fledgling sport. Yeah. It's in its infancy.
That's why it's easy to cut ties with this steroid shit.
That's why it's easy to just change your testing policy. It's a simple thing.
I'm sure they're concerned. What they would argue is if we tested earlier, then they would cheat in the days leading up to the fight. That's why they test so late.
Or if you test, because I think it's a good point.
Both.
Or what happens if you find out right before the fight, an hour before? Then you don't have a fight card. If people paid for pay-per-view, there's no fights.